How did your group learn about the Presbyterian Committee on the self-development of people, and how did it obtain the application?
The way I remember it is Charlie Bernstein from Maine Initiatives, which is a grassroots funder in Maine. They got in touch with Jake when Jake was at Maine People's Alliance and met with Jake and Dot Treadwell and talked to them about what the Self-Development of People Fund did and how maybe the two groups could work together.
How was the group involved in completing the application?
I think I remember a small group of us looking at the application first and doing a rough draft of a couple of the questions, and then thinking about several groups of a few people could take each question or some of the questions and respond to them, and then it all came back to the whole group. And we edited it and added to it and revised it a number of times.
Second time we applied, we had, I think there were 4 of us working on the original draft and then brought it back to the group. And I remember the one question that was the hardest for us to answer was the question about poverty, about how we define poverty. And we read what we had written on the first grant, and I remember that we liked the answer but didn't think it was perfect for where we had gotten to at this point. And so it took us a really long time to come to consensus on a new answer for that.
Okay, what did the group talk about in responding to the question about who owns and controls the project?
I think that we talked a lot about knowing that it was us who owned and controlled it, that it would be our project, that we would be doing it.
Yeah, I think we're not used to thinking that way. We're used to thinking about how what we're going to do is helping other people or that sort of thing. And so it almost seems like selfish to do something that helps you. But I think what we've learned from the project is, like, if it's benefiting the neighborhood, it is benefiting us, like, automatically. And just by going through and, like, working on these projects, we learned so much. We gained so many skills just by executing the project, that even if the project wasn't in my neighborhood and was in a different neighborhood, just by working on it, I would still gain so much.
How did your group go about responding to the questions on the budget?
I feel like we handled the budget the way that we do, like, the other parts of the grant and how we talk about our work.
We knew what we wanted. We wanted to have this physical plan. So we knew there was going to be, printing costs, and we knew we were going to make a DVD. So we knew we had to have, the videographer. Is that what it's called, videographer? And we knew that we were going to have to, make the DVDs, and we knew that we were going to have the T-shirts, when we had our big charrette type thing that, that we did, and that would include food. And so, and I think that helped sort of feed into the budget. Was, okay, this is what we want to do. What are the lists of that's going to make it so that this happens?
I think what's hardest for us in the budget is actually estimating how much time we spend in the group, how much time we're putting in, because I think we all put a lot more time than gets tracked. And yeah.
How long did it take you to work on the application?
It did take months.
The first one, I think, took us a long time.
Yeah, that was quite a job, yeah.
Do you remember how long did it take?
Geez, it took a long time. We had a lot of people come to the meeting, yeah.
Because of what we've described about how communal a process it was. It wasn't just one person sitting in a room. It was really our attempt to do that, go through that process in the way that fits with how we had been operating before we had any money.
What part of the application was difficult to complete, and what was the solution?
The question about how are we ourselves benefiting from it was hard to put into words. You know, we knew why it had to happen because we were all going to be affected by that, and saw what the community is. How do you put that in writing in a way that, you know, compels somebody to say, oh, this is a great project and should be given some money.
The solution was just taking the time to make sure that it was clear. Yeah, to talk forever, to be clear in our minds and hearts and minds about it.
What advice or tips would you have for a prospective self-development of people partner interested in submitting a grant application to self-development of people?
It is a joke that you know, from what Nancy had said about, oh, all we do is talk now, what's that? But I do think because we did all that talking, that helped us all understand what we were trying to do better, and then it made us better prepared for that interview, because I do think it's really intimidating when people come to interview you and they ask you questions, and like Barbara said, like, you can't delete, you don't get to edit what you say. Whatever comes out of your mouth, that's what the answer is. So I think taking that time to make sure that you're submitting something that everyone in the group agrees to is really important. So when they come to the interview, everyone's bought in, everyone knows what the grant's about. It's not just one person who wrote the grant and everyone else is like, what is this?
I think that if somebody has questions and they're not quite sure if they fit in, to call them. You know, they're probably one of the more approachable and reachable, you know, funders that we've been in contact with, as far as like calling or emailing.
Now they have this pre-application, so you can submit your ideas and your general proposal, and they can respond saying what they think about it, if it's something they would fund. And I think that's really important to groups that are just starting out or aren't sure about the idea, aren't sure if it's a good fit, to fill that out. It doesn't take nearly as long as doing the whole grant. It doesn't have all the hard questions in it. It just has some of them. And then if you can submit that and get feedback.
One of the things that we've learned is just because they say no the first time doesn't mean you never apply again, and that you want to ask, what is it that we could have done? Is it just our project that is something you guys don't fund, or is it the way that we presented it? You know, could we have done it better? Is there a different thing that we could have done that would have given us the money? And then you know, applying again if they say, well, yes. You know, we have had that happen with other grants, you know, where we with other funders, that you don't get it the first time. So don't be afraid to ask why and then try again.